2022 is gonna be a year of change, mark my words. And I think you're gonna see some dramatic shifts in the guys starting under center this season.
And players out today in the secondary as Pitts makes the catch.
Every year, we see some NFL players take their game to the next level while others fall off the proverbial cliff, as we begin to watch their careers decline before our very eyes. The quarterback position, of course, is no exception. Whether it's a change to their coaching staff, their supporting cast, or an entire change of scenery, there are at least 5 NFL quarterbacks who we totally expect to improve in 2022, and 5 whose decline seems inevitable. So, let's get right into it. Improve. Tua Tagovailoa. Okay, this has to be the year that Tua breaks out, right? Regardless of how you feel about Tagovailoa, this much is undeniable. He's 13-8 through 2 seasons as Miami starter. He has a stellar 66.2 completion percentage and 27 touchdowns against 15 picks. So that's not awful by any means, but considering he was once viewed as a generational talent and was even taken before Justin Herbert, you can see why Dolphins Nation expected far better up to this point. Well, everything is there now for Tagovailoa to absolutely go off in 2022. Miami GM Chris Grier has given Tua a top-level supporting cast to work with. He traded for All-Pro wideout Tyreek Hill and signed Raheem Mostert, Chase Edmonds, and Sony Michel to improve a lackluster rushing game. The leaky O-line was bolstered with the signings of longtime New Orleans Saints mainstay Terron Armstead and Dallas Cowboys standout Connor Williams. Not to mention, the Finns also signed receiver Cedric Wilson Jr. following a breakout year in Dallas. That's a pretty deep supporting cast, considering that Miami already had Mike Gesicki and young phenom Jalen Waddle. And Tua will also benefit tremendously from the arrival of new head coach Mike McDaniel, who is a proud member of the Kyle Shanahan coaching tree. With playmakers all across the board, Tagovailoa and McDaniel can really build a special offense here. Mark it down. 2022, the year that Tua time finally arrives. Decline. Tom Brady. Okay, let's get this out of the way. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers remain a Super Bowl contender and should be considered the massive favorites to win the NFC South. But let's be realistic. A 45-year-old Brady isn't going to repeat as the NFL's passing yards or passing touchdowns leader. This is not a knock against the ageless GOAT. The reality is that the supporting cast around him isn't what it once was. Brady once had 4 world-class pass catchers at his disposal in Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Antonio Brown, and Rob Gronkowski. Well, the mercurial AB was released late last season, and Gronk retired for a second time. Godwin is recovering from a torn ACL that he suffered in Week 15 of last year, and the Bucs don't even know when he'll return to the field. So even if he is back for Week 1, you're without Brown and Gronkowski for an entire year. The Bucs have also lost 2 mainstay guards in Ali Marpet and Alex Kappa. Shaq Mason will fill one of those holes, but who's gonna be taking the other one? As their 2022 opponents combined for a 533 winning percentage last year. Look, add it all up, and we're predicting that Brady may still be a top 10 QB, but certainly not an MVP candidate in 2022. The Bucs lost way too many key pieces, and the schedule is just way too unfriendly for him to hit 5,000 passing yards and 40-plus touchdowns again. Improve. Trevor Lawrence. You really got a feel for T-Law. I mean, how many other first-year quarterbacks in NFL history had the type of drama that Trevor did under former head coach Urban Meyer? We refuse to blame Lawrence for that miserable rookie season. The Jaguars have been a laughingstock for 15-some-odd years now, and Meyer was just the cherry on top of the clown circus. The good news is that Myers is long gone, and the Jaguars, dare we say, actually made some excellent moves to help their top pick of 2021 go off as a sophomore. For one, they hired an actual, qualified, offensive-minded, former Super Bowl-winning head coach in Doug Peterson. He did wonders in developing Carson Wentz in Philadelphia, and he turned Nick Foles into a Super Bowl MVP. So there's no reason to believe that Peterson can't make it work with a generational quarterback like Lawrence. The Jaguars did overpay big time for Christian Kirk and Zay Jones in free agency. The Brandon Scherff contract carries risks too. But at the end of the day, they are all giant upgrades on offense over what the Jags previously had. New tight end Evan Ingram will supply Lawrence with a big-bodied red zone target, and of course Travis Etienne is back in the fold after missing his entire rookie year with a foot injury. No, No, the Jaguars aren't going to make the jump to Super Bowl contender in 2022, but Lawrence is primed for a special sophomore season after a very forgettable rookie year that was single-handedly ruined by Urban Meyer. Decline: Jimmy Garoppolo. Regardless of where Jimmy G winds up, he's not gonna find a better situation than the one he had in San Francisco over the past 3 seasons. The 49ers were the perfect fit for a mediocre QB like Garoppolo. His limitations as a passer were masked by San Fran's run-heavy offense, not to mention the explosive pass-catching trio of George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk, and Deebo Samuel. At this point, only the Seattle Seahawks and Carolina Panthers make sense as destinations for Garoppolo. And trust us, neither of those teams are anywhere close to contending. Garoppolo had the fortunes of playing with one of the NFL's most stacked rosters, all while being coached up by one of the league's best offensive staffs. He's not going to find a better situation with another team in 2022. And if he stays in San Fran, well, it's very likely he'll end up being Trey Lance's backup at some point. Improve: Zach Wilson. Growing pains were widely expected from the number 2 pick of the 2021 draft, and there were plenty of them, alright. Wilson lost 10 of his 13 starts and completed just 55.6 of his pass attempts for 9 touchdowns and 11 picks. Wilson didn't have a single 300-yard passing game, and he was limited to just under 200 yards in 7 outings. But that's okay. John Elway and Peyton Manning didn't have stellar rookie years either, and the Jets went to great lengths this offseason to bolster Wilson's supporting cast. For one, the offensive line should be a lot better now that Mekhi Becton is back in the fold after missing all but 1 game in 2021. And the Jets added standout guard Laken Tomlinson in free agency to complement 2021 rookie phenom Elijah Vera-Tucker. As far as skill position players go, the Jets drafted Ohio State receiver Garrett Wilson in round 1 before snagging Iowa State running back Breece Hall in round 2. This came after Gangrene signed former Cincinnati Bengals tight end CJ Uzomah in free agency. These new weapons join a cast that already had Corey Davis, Braxton Berrios, Michael Carter, and Elijah Moore in the fold. Between the added year of development and growth, his new set of weapons, and a revamped O-line, Jets fans can expect a much better outing from Wilson in year 2. Oh, and let's not forget that the dude got jacked this offseason, adding roughly 13 pounds of muscle according to the QB himself. Yeah, that should help as well. Decline: Kyler Murray. Murray's second-half regression over the 2020 and 2021 seasons is concerning, no doubt. Remember when he looked like one of the top MVP candidates last year following a 7-0 start? We still believe that Murray can be a consistently great quarterback, but the dominoes aren't exactly lining up for that MVP-like season in 2022. Though it's not entirely his fault. Top wideout DeAndre Hopkins will be out for the first 6 games due to suspension, and we don't need to tell you how much of this offense struggled without Hopkins last season. Yeah, they brought back AJ Green and Zach Ertz and traded for Marquise Hollywood Brown, but none of those guys are on Hopkins level, and the offensive line still has its holes. Not to mention that Arizona has a brutal slate of games on their 2022 schedule. Murray will keep the Cardinals in playoff contention, but don't expect him to match or even top last year's totals. This could be a rough year for the Redbirds and their quarterback, and it certainly doesn't help that Murray and the team are already at odds over his contract negotiations. Things could get interesting here. Stay tuned. Improve: Matt Ryan. Well, this one's obvious. Ryan was still putting up Pro Bowl-like numbers on a mediocre Falcons team from 2018 to 2021. And now he gets to play with one of the most stacked rosters in the entire league. The Indianapolis Colts somehow missed the playoffs last season despite fielding a league-leading 7 Pro Bowlers. But with Matty Ice replacing the inconsistent Carson Wentz behind center, the Colts can now expect a return to the postseason. Ryan was solid in 2021 behind a terrible offensive line. Now he joins arguably the NFL's best blocking unit anchored by Quentin Nelson and Ryan Kelly. Not to mention reigning rushing champion Jonathan Taylor will be lining up behind him in the backfield. And that Ryan also has 1,000-yard receiver Michael Pittman at his disposal. Things are going to be a lot easier for Matty Ice in 2022. Honestly, we expect one of his best seasons yet. I mean, we could even see him return to his 2016 MVP form. Decline: Dak Prescott. We hate casting doubt on a guy who was the top 5 quarterback last season, but this isn't a knock on Dak as much as it is on the Dallas Cowboys supporting cast. Prescott lost his go-to receiver of 4 years, Amari Cooper, who was traded to the Cleveland Browns. 2 of Dallas's key starters on the O-line, Connor Williams and Lael Collins, also found new homes this offseason. The underrated Cedric Wilson Jr., who racked up 45 catches for 602 yards and 6 touchdowns last year, signed with the Dolphins. Dallas is still stuck with Ezekiel Elliott's ugly contract, meaning he'll get a lot more carries even though he's not a game-changing back anymore. On top of that, Michael Gallup is recovering from a season-ending ACL tear, so it's unknown when he'll be back at full strength. The Cowboys still have enough talent to contend for another division title, but Prescott has lost way too many key pieces to retain his elite level of play. Losing Cooper especially stings, because it now leaves Dak with just one Pro Bowl caliber wideout instead of 2, and that is a big difference. Improve Jalen Hurts. Hurts had a decent but not great sophomore year, doing just enough as a dual threat QB to help the Philadelphia Eagles sneak back into the playoffs. This was Hurts' first full season as a starter, so expectations weren't exactly high. And yet, he still got it done with Dallas Goedert and rookie Devontae Smith as his only reliable pass catchers. Now he'll enter 2022 with one of the best pass-catching trios in the league, thanks to the addition of former Titan star A.J. Brown. Brown is arguably a top 10 receiver in the league, and we would certainly not doubt Smith's ability to enter that conversation as well in 2022. The offensive line and rushing game are already set, but Brown alone can completely change the dynamic of this Eagles offense and take it to a whole new level. With one full NFL season under his belt, Philly fans already had reason to be optimistic about Hurts entering this year. Now he gets arguably the NFL's best pass-catching duo to work with. Expect a big season out of Hurts in year 3. Decline. Ryan Tannehill. Though the Titans captured the number 1 seed in the AFC last season, Tannehill's play can't be cited as the main reason why. Tennessee largely relied on its ground game and suffocating defense. When the Titans needed Tannehill most, he just wasn't up for it. Just look at that costly interception that set up the Cincinnati Bengals' victory over Tennessee in the divisional round. It just feels like Tannehill has hit his ceiling in Tennessee, and without A.J. Brown, it's hard to envision his production getting any better. Yes, the Titans traded for Robert Woods and drafted Treylon Burks, but Woods is coming off a season-ending ACL tear, and Burks isn't a proven product like Brown. Tennessee's leaky offensive line got even worse with the loss of Roger Saffold, who left for the Buffalo Bills in free agency. And the Titans haven't exactly found a suitable replacement there, which is a great cause for concern. Derrick Henry's body has a ton of mileage on it, and he missed most of last year with a foot injury. Will Henry stay healthy and get back to his MVP-like form? Well, if not, things become even more complicated for Tannehill. There's just way too many question marks and concerns for us to believe that Tannehill will bounce back in 2022. Their AFC South rivals all made moves to get better this offseason, so the division isn't going to be a cakewalk this time around. Good luck to Tannehill. It's going to be interesting to see how long he can hold off Malik Willis for the starting job in Tennessee. But which other NFL quarterbacks will improve in 2022, and which ones do you think will decline? Let us know in the comment section below. If you like this video and learned a thing or two, clicking the like button helps out a ton. And hey, we appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, subscribing is a great idea, because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.